The silent invasion. The first signal arrived on a Tuesday. Commander Sarah Chen stood at her station in the Lunar Defense Network hub, watching as the anomalous transmission rippled across her holographic display. 20 years of service had taught her to trust her instincts, and something about this pattern sent ice through her veins. "Dr. Harrison, are you seeing this?" She called out to the facility's lead xenolinguist. The aging scientist was already hurrying over, his eyes wide behind thick-rimmed glasses. "Fascinating," he breathed, fingers dancing across the adjacent console. "It's not random noise. There's a clear mathematical sequence embedded in the carrier wave. This is first contact, Commander." But Sarah wasn't listening anymore. Her attention had shifted to the secondary readings, energy signatures appearing at the edge of the solar system. Not one or two, but hundreds, materializing like stars going supernova in reverse. The Vraxian ships emerged from fold space with devastating precision. Their biomechanical vessels, each the size of a small moon, cast shadows across Pluto's surface that Earth's most powerful telescopes captured in horrifying detail. The alien fleet's neural architecture pulsed with sickly green light, a living network that seemed to breathe in unison. Humanity's first official contact with the Vraxians lasted exactly 6 minutes. Their ambassador, a crystalline construct that hovered in the UN chamber, spoke with 1,000 voices in perfect unison. "Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is inefficient." Then the slaughter began. The Vraxians had perfected the art of invasion across 1,000 worlds. Their hive-mind consciousness coordinated attacks with impossible precision, overwhelming Earth's defensive systems before anyone could react. Major cities vanished under waves of nanite swarms that consumed infrastructure and rewrote matter at the molecular level. But they had made one critical mistake. They had expected humanity to break. Sarah Chen watched from the lunar facility as Shanghai, her hometown, disappeared under a tide of alien reconstruction. She felt something inside her change. Not break, but transform. As she issued the order to activate the facility's quantum transmission array, her voice carried the weight of billions. "All stations, this is Commander Chen. Implementation of the Lazarus Protocol is now in effect. Authorization code. Humanity prevails. Across the globe, deep within mountains and beneath oceans, humanity's best-kept secrets stirred to life. The Vraxians had studied human military capability extensively, but they had missed something fundamental about their prey. Humans didn't just adapt to survive. They evolved to win. The lunar facility's quantum computers began their work, analyzing every second of Vraxian activity, searching for patterns, weaknesses, and most importantly, the source of their greatest strength, the hive mind that made them invincible. Sarah knew this was only the beginning. The real war wouldn't be won with weapons or traditional tactics. It would be won with humanity's greatest asset, their stubborn refusal to submit to any force that tried to cage them. As the first wave of counterattacks began, she allowed herself a grim smile. The Vraxians thought they were dealing with just another species to be assimilated. They were about to learn why humanity had survived every catastrophe nature had thrown at them. The war for Earth had begun, but unlike the Vraxians' previous conquests, this one would end differently. Because humans didn't just fight wars, they revolutionized them. Breaking point. The first 3 months of the war revealed a harsh truth. Conventional warfare was useless against the Vraxians. Their hive mind anticipated every strategy, countered every tactic, and turned humanity's traditional military strength into a liability. But in their quest for perfection, the aliens had engineered their own vulnerability. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the heart of Project Singularity, surrounded by the most advanced quantum computing array ever constructed. The facility, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Himalayan mountains, hummed with potential. She had spent the last decade developing theories about consciousness transfer and neural networking. Now those theories would be put to the ultimate test. The hive mind is their strength, she explained to the holographic assembly of Earth's remaining military leadership. But it's also their weakness. They've sacrificed individual adaptability for collective efficiency. They can't comprehend genuine randomness. It's fundamentally opposed to their nature. The discovery had cost thousands of lives and dozens of failed operations, but it had revealed something crucial. When faced with truly unpredictable behavior, the Vraxian neural network experienced microscopic delays. Delays that lasted only fractions of a second, but in those fragments of time, they became vulnerable. Project Singularity was humanity's answer, a quantum-based system designed to inject controlled chaos into human military operations. It would allow human forces to act with complete unpredictability while maintaining strategic coherence, something the hive mind couldn't process. As Maya initiated the first test, she thought about her family in Mumbai, now living in underground shelters. The Vraxians hadn't destroyed all cities. They needed some infrastructure intact for their own purposes. This had created a desperate stalemate, with humanity clinging to whatever advantages they could find. The test results exceeded all expectations. The quantum network interfaced perfectly with human neural patterns, amplifying natural creativity and randomness, while maintaining tactical coordination. It was the opposite of the Vraxian hive mind. Instead of enforcing uniformity, it enhanced individuality. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Captain James Rodriguez, leading a desperate defense of the Santiago bunker complex, discovered that small units operating under Project Singularity's influence could actually disrupt the Vraxian neural network. The aliens' perfect coordination began to break down in the face of human unpredictability. The war entered a new phase. Humanity couldn't match the Vraxians' technological superiority, but they could fight in ways the aliens couldn't comprehend. Every human soldier became a potential chaos agent, their actions guided by both strategic necessity and genuine randomness. Maya watched as the first full-scale implementation of Project Singularity took effect. Across the globe, resistance cells began operating in ways that defied predictive analysis. The Vraxians' perfect formations started showing cracks. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had hope, not just of survival, but of victory, because they had remembered something fundamental about their nature. Humans thrived in chaos. The Vraxians had built their empire on precision and predictability. They were about to learn that evolution favored those who could dance with uncertainty. The human factor. The transformation of warfare happened faster than anyone expected. Under Project Singularity's influence, human resistance fighters developed tactics that seemed insane on paper, but proved devastatingly effective in practice. Colonel Marcus Wright led the first major offensive against a Vraxian processing center in what used to be the Australian outback. His troops moved like quantum particles, their actions simultaneously coordinated and random. They appeared to be everywhere and nowhere, striking with impossible timing that drove the hive mind's prediction algorithms into feedback loops. They expect us to be rational, Marcus told his soldiers before the attack. So we'll be brilliant instead. The battle that followed would later be studied as the moment everything changed. Human forces, enhanced by Project Singularity, created patterns of chaos that rippled through the Vraxian neural network. The aliens' perfectly coordinated responses became their undoing. They couldn't adapt fast enough to actions they couldn't predict. Meanwhile, in orbit, Commander Lisa Torres unveiled humanity's next evolution in combat. The Ghost Protocol took Project Singularity's principles and applied them to space warfare. Ships moved in ways that defied both physics and logic, their quantum-enhanced crews making decisions faster than the hive mind could process. The Vraxians lost their first major fleet engagement over Mars. Their ships, designed for perfect formation combat, couldn't handle opponents that treated space combat like a jazz improvisation. Human vessels seemed to phase in and out of traditional spacetime, appearing where they couldn't possibly be, striking from impossible angles. But the true game-changer came from understanding the hive mind itself. Dr. Maya Patel's team discovered that human consciousness, enhanced by Project Singularity, could actually interface with the Vraxian neural network. not to control it, but to introduce subtle chaos that grew exponentially. The first successful infiltration of a Vraxian command node proved the theory. A small team of human operatives, their minds linked through Project Singularity, created a cascade of contradictory information that spread through the hive mind like a virus of uncertainty. For the first time in their history, the Vraxians experienced doubt. Their perfect consensus began showing signs of fracture. Some nodes began developing individual thoughts, a concept so foreign to their species that it caused widespread disruption. Humanity pressed their advantage. Each victory, no matter how small, created new opportunities. The resistance grew stronger as more people connected to Project Singularity, each mind adding its own unique flavor of chaos to the mix. The Vraxians responded by increasing their aggression, but this only played into humanity's hands. The aliens couldn't abandon their fundamental nature. Their responses remained predictable, even as they tried to adapt to human unpredictability. As the war entered its second year, a new truth emerged. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to prove that consciousness itself was more powerful when it embraced chaos rather than controlled it. The galaxy was about to learn why evolution had favored human adaptability over Vraxian perfection. Turning the tide. The revolution began not with a bang, but with a whisper. Across the galaxy, species long subjugated by the Vraxian hive mind started noticing something different. The perfect control that had kept them in check for centuries was showing microscopic fractures. Dr. Maya Patel stood before the holographic representation of the galaxy, watching as points of light indicated growing resistance movements. Project Singularity had evolved beyond its original purpose. It had become a beacon of hope for every species that dreamed of freedom. The Aetherian crystals of Proxima Centauri, ancient beings who had been forced to serve as computational nodes for the hive mind, began experiencing individual thoughts for the first time in millennia. The silicon-based Vulturi of the Orion Spur started developing their own version of Project Singularity, adapted to their unique consciousness. But the greatest surprise came from within the Vraxian Empire itself. Some of the younger drones, those who had most direct contact with human resistance fighters, began showing signs of independent thought. The hive mind's perfect consensus was unraveling, one consciousness at a time. Commander Sarah Chen, now leading the combined Earth Defense Fleet, recognized the opportunity. "We're not just fighting a war anymore," she told the unified command. "We're leading a revolution of consciousness itself." The counter-offensive began simultaneously across 1,000 worlds. Human forces, now aided by growing numbers of alien allies, struck at the heart of Vraxian control centers. Each battle was unique, unpredictable, a symphony of chaos that the hive mind couldn't comprehend. The Vraxians responded with increasingly desperate measures. They attempted to strengthen their neural network, forcing even stronger compliance from their drones. But this only accelerated their decline. The more they tried to enforce uniformity, the more individual consciousness rebelled. Project Singularity evolved into something its creators hadn't imagined. It became a framework for different species to coordinate while maintaining their unique forms of consciousness. Humanity had created not just a weapon, but a new way of thinking about collective intelligence. The turning point came at the Battle of Alpha Centauri. The combined fleet, representing 12 different species all linked through variations of Project Singularity, faced the largest Vraxian armada ever assembled. What followed wasn't just a battle. It was a demonstration of evolution in action. The human concept of controlled chaos proved infectious. Each species added its own unique perspective to the mix, creating patterns of combat that existed in dimensions the Vraxians couldn't even perceive. The hive mind, faced with levels of complexity it had never encountered, began to fracture. As the battle ended in a decisive victory for the Alliance, Maya made a striking realization. Humanity hadn't just developed a way to fight the Vraxians. They had discovered a fundamental truth about consciousness itself. True strength came not from enforced unity, but from the harmonious interaction of diverse minds. The war was entering its final phase, but its impact would reshape the understanding of intelligence across the galaxy. Evolution's answer. The Vraxian home system hung like a perfect jewel in space, its worlds transformed over millennia into expressions of hive mind efficiency. But as the combined fleet of the Free Species Alliance emerged from quantum space, that perfection revealed itself as stagnation. Dr. Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Evolution's Child, watching as final preparations were made for humanity's most ambitious operation yet. Project Singularity had evolved into something far beyond its original design. It had become a bridge between different forms of consciousness. The plan was audacious. Instead of destroying the Vraxian hive mind, they would transform it. Years of studying the fractures in Vraxian unity had revealed something extraordinary. The hive mind wasn't natural to their species. It was an artificial construct imposed by ancient Vraxian engineers who had feared the chaos of individual consciousness. All forces, commence Operation Liberation. Commander Chen's voice echoed across the quantum network linking the Alliance fleet. The battle that followed would be remembered not for its destruction, but for its transformation. Human ships, moving with their trademark unpredictability, created corridors through the Vraxian defenses. Behind them came vessels crewed by freed Vraxian rebels, their newly individual minds adding centuries of knowledge to the Alliance's capabilities. The Aetherian crystals broadcast frequencies that resonated with the artificial constraints binding the hive mind. The silicon-based Vulturi implemented quantum algorithms that introduced controlled uncertainty into the network. At the heart of the Vraxian system, Maya and her team located the source. A massive quantum computer complex that had maintained the hive mind's coherence for thousands of years. But instead of destroying it, they repurposed it. Project Singularity's final form wasn't a weapon. It was a key that unlocked the natural state of consciousness across species. The Vraxian hive mind dissolved not into chaos, but into harmony. Billions of minds awakened to their own individuality, while maintaining the ability to connect and coordinate when needed. The transformation rippled across the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for generations found themselves truly free. The Vraxians themselves, released from artificial constraints, began experiencing reality as individuals while retaining their capacity for collective action. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't victory in war. It was the demonstration that consciousness itself was meant to dance between order and chaos, unity and individuality. Project Singularity became the foundation for a new form of galactic civilization, one based on the principle that true strength comes from diversity of thought. Years later, Maya stood in the newly established Galactic Council of Minds, watching representatives from hundreds of species communicate through a network that enhanced rather than suppressed their unique characteristics. The Vraxians, now fully integrated into the Council, had become some of its most creative members, their ancient knowledge finally freed from the constraints of enforced unity. Commander Chen, her hair now gray but her eyes still sharp, smiled as she watched the proceedings. "We didn't just win a war," she said quietly. "We proved that evolution favors those who can embrace both chaos and order, individuality and unity." The stars above seemed brighter somehow, as if reflecting the combined consciousness of countless free minds, reaching out into the universe, ready to face whatever challenges awaited with the greatest.